We all know about the bright side of fame. After all, it's fed to us in a continuous 24-hour news cycle on every type of screen imaginable. The silver screen, the television screen, and most predominantly these days, our phone screens. But for every news story that shines a light on all the positive aspects of celebrity, there are two that have fallen through the cracks because they cast the industry in a less than favorable light. These stories concern themselves with the dark side of fame, and that's exactly what this new series is all about. For our inaugural episode, we're focusing on a high-profile relationship that started off with all the promise in the world. Two young, talented musicians at the top of their games finding each other in the middle of a worldwide pandemic.
Okay, this way. Bow, bow, bow. Bow, bow, bow.
Yep, today we're taking a look at the relationship of Megan Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez. On the bright side of fame, both of these talented individuals are on the upswing of their careers. Megan found herself worldwide attention after Stallion Freestyle blew up in North America, and then found critical success with her album Fever before Hot Girl Summer turned her into a cultural phenomenon. And Tory's story isn't all that different. I mean, it's not easy for a rapper from Toronto to become a success story in the US, but that's exactly what he ended up doing after dropping songs like Say It and Talk to Me. Then in 2015, he released his debut album, Told You, which featured the Grammy-nominated song Love. But on the dark side of fame is a different story altogether. One full of betrayal, lies, false representations, snitching, and ultimately violence. So I hope you guys will join me in this new series as I take a look at Tory Lanez and Megan Thee Stallion plunging into the dark side of fame.
I didn't put my hands on nobody. I didn't deserve to get shot. I didn't do
Hey guys, it's your girl Azalea Hart, back at it again, but this time with something a little different. Look, you're used to us creating stories and content that focus a lot on what I refer to off the top as the bright side of fame. After all, who doesn't want to hear a story that's also got a happy ending? We all do, but truthfully, there's a reason why we all turn and look at the scene of an accident if we happen to drive past one on the road. Because human curiosity is as undefeated as the internet has always claimed to be. Our appetites for knowledge, regardless of the eventual positive or negative outcome, is insatiable. So with that in mind, I want to welcome you guys to this new series, The Dark Side of Fame. This is where we'll shine a spotlight on those story points that we tend to shy away from in our other videos, because in this series, all bets are off and anything goes. If you guys have some ideas for stories that you'd like to see told in this series, feel free to leave us some names in the comments down below. But rest assured, with the way that fame works, we won't be hurting for any content in this series. Let's just say that. Alright, well, follow me on Instagram at Azalea Zoe, and now let's get into the story. Things started off innocently enough for Tory and Megan, as they almost always do. The first hint that we had that these two were even in the same orbit as one another was a surprise TikTok video that popped up in April of this year. Right in the middle of almost the entire world being under shelter-at-home orders, somehow Tory Lanez had found his way over to Megan Thee Stallion's house.
Look at these looking like some damn food.
While some fans took to focusing on the social distance aspect of this story and criticized these two for not taking the orders seriously, a lot of their fans were super into how, well, adorable these two seemed with one another. Whether or not they ever really graduated to being anything more than just friends, we don't really know for sure one way or another, though as we would come to find out over the course of the next few months, there was definitely feelings there. But the thing is, Tory has always kind of had a thing for Kylie Jenner, once going as far as shooting his shot at her.
We got your bottles. We got your bottles.
And that's where the story really starts to get complicated and flips from the bright side to the dark side of fame. Let's flash forward to July of this year when Megan posts the following video on her social media. That's Megan and Kylie hanging out poolside with Tory on the night of July 11th at Kylie's home. But by 4 a.m. the following morning, Tory would be arrested by police on a felony count of carrying a concealed weapon in a vehicle. So how did this happen? Well, according to the initial reports offered up by TMZ, an argument had ensued that night and someone fired shots in the air before taking off. At the time, TMZ reported that Megan had cut her foot on some broken glass from the car. But 3 days later, Megan would set the record straight, detailing suffering multiple gunshot wounds as a result of a crime that was committed against her with the intent to cause her physical harm.
I was shot in both of my feet, and I had to get surgery to get the taken out, get the bullets taken out.
Over a month later, Megan would revisit the story once more in a video post to her Instagram. In this version of the story, she claims that she was in Tory's car with him, his bodyguard, and one of her friends. All four of them were arguing with one another when Megan decided to leave. She hopped out of the front passenger seat and started walking away from the car. Megan says that Tory then shot at her through the car's back window.
So, since y'all hoes so worried about it, yes, this Tory shot me. You shot me. I'm in the front seat. This in the back seat. I'll get out the car. I'm done arguing. I don't want to argue no more. I'll get out. I'm walking away. This from out the back seat of the car started shooting me. You shot me. I ain't get cut by no glass.
As for reasons why Tory would do something like this, well, Megan was a little less forthcoming with that, only offering up a pretty unfulfilling response of, he had no reason. There are rumors that it had to do with a reprisal from Megan having struck Tory after becoming upset with him due to his infatuation with Kylie, who you remember they had been hanging out with earlier that night. But Megan has outright refuted these claims.
Motherfuckers talking about I hit this, I never hit you. Motherfuckers was like, oh, she mad because he was trying to with Kylie. No, I wasn't.
In any case, Megan explained that she was never arrested, but she was driven to a nearby hospital to undergo surgery to remove the bullets from her foot that were still inside.
In the since-deleted post, Meg shared these two close-up shots of her feet that appear to have been taken shortly after the incident. The WAP rapper had to undergo surgery to remove the bullet fragments.
Not long after Megan revealed her side of the story, her friend Kelsey Nicole, who was the other woman in the car when this happened, came forward to make it clear that it wasn't her who fired the weapon after rumors began to make the rounds that maybe it had been. This idea largely stemmed from rumors that Kelsey was the cause of the drama after having slept with Tory. But like with so much else in the story, the truth is hard to pin down. Fake news makes everyone's job so much tougher, you know? Now, Megan's initial revelation wasn't met with the support and widespread belief that she was probably expecting. In fact, the internet, being the internet, decided to have some fun at her expense. So much so that Megan jumped back onto her social media feeds to talk about how unprotected Black women are in our society and how people were disrespecting and trivializing her very real trauma. Aside from the online hate, Megan's career wasn't fazed at all by the incident. She received flowers, stuffed animals, and well wishes from other queens of the industry like Beyonce, Rihanna, and Lizzo while she was healing.
God, Lizzo, I love you. What the hell?
Then she got to celebrate her #1 smash hit WAP, a collab with Cardi B that landed at the very top of the Hot 100. Tory's career, on the other hand, that was another thing entirely. First came the blackballing from the industry that saw headlines like Tory Lanez streams have fallen by 40%. Now, that turned out to be a bit of an exaggeration, with the actual numbers being more like 8%. But there were also rumors that, being a Canadian citizen from the city of Brampton, he was going to be deported. These two appear to be greatly exaggerated. When an Immigration and Customs Enforcement agent was contacted to discuss the case by Vulture, they were quoted as saying, "We have no stake in this matter at this point. ICE has not been involved in this at all." Pretty definite nothing to see here if you ask me. Despite remaining mostly quiet through all the accusations at this point, Tory finally decided to break that silence over 2 months later at the tail end of September, tweeting out that he finally had time to discuss things. However, much to many people's surprise, what Tory ended up releasing was a brand new diss album titled Daystar. After dropping the record, he mentioned in another tweet that he says everything he has to say about the incident with this album. On the track Money Over Fallouts, Tory suggests that Megan's people are trying to frame him for the attack, and he questions the legitimacy of her injuries while also insinuating that her management team tried to pay him off for his silence. Elsewhere on the album, Tory raps that he would be willing to reconcile with Megan and even still has feelings for her, suggesting that if he had known how jealous she was over his feelings for Kylie, they could have worked something out. But looking at the bigger picture, Tory's decision to drop his album at the moment he did is a complicated one, to say the least. Not only was it dealing with the notorious incident itself, but the timing of the album release could have been better thought out. Only a day prior to the release of Daystar, a verdict had finally come down in the Breonna Taylor case that only served to exasperate the public's exhaustion with denying violence against the Black community and Black women specifically. So, Tory's decision to release a diss album targeted largely at a Black woman was probably the worst thing he could have done considering the moment. The release caused such an outcry that it even had people like Rick Ross taking to their social media feed to call Tory out.
Tory Lanez, poor decision, brother. Dropping that project. Just out of respect for Breonna Taylor. We gotta respect these sisters. That ain't how you address the accusations you facing with the sister. That was a poor choice, homie.
Rick Ross might be right about Tory's poor decision, but Tory was quick to point out that the boss, well, he was making some poor decisions of his own by diversifying a socially conscious video about Breonna Taylor into an endorsement for his champagne brand at the same time. And I kinda gotta side with Tory on this one. It's undoubtedly a bad look on everyone here. A few days after the album drop came the latest twist in this saga when Billboard ran a story that alleged Tory's team sent several emails to media outlets pretending to be a member of Megan's record label, 300 Entertainment, in order to campaign on his behalf. Everyone on Tory's side denies sending these emails and suggests that he said everything he had to say about what happened on his most recent album. As for Megan's response to Tory's Daystar album, it was pretty simple and to the point. So where does the story go from here? It's still a little bit too early to know for sure, but with all the court cases happening, I'm sure we're gonna find out some more information very soon. Until then, I hope you guys enjoyed this look at Megan Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez brush with the dark side of fame. Alright guys, don't forget to follow me on Instagram at AzaleaZoe to connect with me, and be sure to leave me your thoughts on this new series in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. Now we drop a new video each and every day, so here's a recent drop that you might enjoy. We handpicked that one for you because if you like this video, you'll probably like that. We also got playlists like over here, so click on that if you want to see a whole list of a bunch of videos we've dropped in the past. And if you're new to the Fame Gang, be sure to subscribe and turn on them post notifications, and I'll see you guys in another video. Boom!